Yes, welcome to No Ideas Original featuring Shannon, Mr. Rob, and Zane. What's up, y'all? How y'all doing?
What's
What's
good?
going on?
Yo, we got a good one tonight. We talking tech tonight. We got a good one. I'm excited about this.
Techie.
Rob, you got your flashlight? Show everybody your wilderness
Oh,
flashlight.
man, I'm walking around the streets doing this now because I live in the fucking woods.
Rob is yo, Rob, you should start that joint, the neighborhood patrol.
Yo, son, I'm a new lumberjack man, son. I'm out here chopping wood, bringing wood home instead of milk. Shit is crazy, son.
Yeah, yo, the fireplace looks nice, man.
Thank you, brother. It took some work. Actually, a family business. The guy and his moms came to clean out our shit, yo. Like it was a family business. The lady hired her sons. The dude that came, he had his wife working with him. I'm like, you know what? That's what I'm talking about. Entrepreneurship, man. Right there in your face.
Nice.
Good stuff, though.
What's up, Zane? How you doing? What you up to?
Cool, man. Just getting ready for this nice and well anticipated interview that we have with the Black Techie.
Shout out to my man Joey too for the Bronx bread. Shameless plug.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, man. Tonight is funny, boy. We got the Triple G fight come on tonight. I was telling you earlier they be setting Triple G up to fight Postman. Triple G fighting some dude that straight out of American History X.
Some dude gonna catch a check. He just there for the check, man.
Yeah. Wait, so Triple G fight is tonight or tomorrow?
Tonight, Triple G tonight. Tomorrow is Canelo.
So what time Triple G fight tonight?
8 something, I think. It's a street fight. Don't worry about it. You see it on YouTube later.
See that on World? Yeah, see that on World Star.
What we want to do, without further ado, to make sure that we get into. Yeah, it's a street fight. You'll see it on YouTube. Don't worry about it. But what we want to do, without further ado, let's bring in our guests.
Hey, there we go.
So we're joined by the Black Techie, Miss Chris Smith. How are you?
I'm amazing. How are you?
Great. Thank you for bringing it to us. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no worries. I love to contribute when it comes to the culture. So I wanted to make sure that we got everything, got some good conversation for tonight. I think we need to really focus on educating us. So I'm excited to tap in tonight.
Nice. Before we get started talking about, because I do know that you're gonna talk to us about the Superphone. You want to tell us a little bit about you and your background in the tech world?
Yeah, most definitely. So good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. My name is Chris Smith. I'm better known online as the Black Techie. I help collegiate and professional athletes build direct relationships with their fan base using the power of text, the Superphone way, of course. Fun fact, I didn't start in technology. I actually was a juvenile probation officer. A lot of people don't know that about me. I'm born and raised in Baltimore, if you can't tell by this thick accent. And
you know what? Say two.
So at the end of the day, I was working with some of the most volatile young youth in Baltimore City, Montgomery County, too, in the Silver Spring area. But these young men, because I had all men on my case, so they respected me very much. But I felt like kind of in a sense when it came to my purpose, that really wasn't my purpose that was there for that season. But I've always been fascinated and attracted to tech. My mom is a really well-known Baltimore City school teacher. Shout out to Dunbar Senior High School. That's where my mother taught for years, and my dad coached there too. My family.
Dunbar in DC?
No, Dunbar in Baltimore. It's one in Baltimore too.
Yeah,
okay.
They both got good athletic programs, but I'm gonna clout on my city real quick. But yeah, like she brought home, and this is how I'm gonna date myself. I'm an 80s baby, 82. She brought home the brown box Mac. I don't know if y'all have ever encountered that. But when she first brought that home, I had to be like about 5 or 6. I was obsessed with this computer. That is where like my real tech journey started. And then like a summer or two after that, had the little Apple Cube where it had the different colors. It was pink, it was green, it was blue, had a blue one in the crib. And, just from there, that's when my journey started. But of course, the way life kind of pivots and, transitions, we don't really start out in what we end up being our purpose. But I got into tech in 2010. I decided to shoot my shot with Apple. That was like going to Harvard because I had like 6 interviews, and this is on the retail side. And I decided like I didn't want to be a salesperson. I wanted to get into technology, but didn't have any formal training. So I became what they call a genius administrator. A lot of people don't know what this position is, but it's basically the liaison from the technicians to the management team and to the front of house team and inventory. So you basically keep in touch with the customers. You basically understand and learn a lot about logistics. You learn about shipping. You learn about inventory. You learn about repair. Like, I learned a lot. So I was with Apple for about 2.5 years before my father passed. I left during that time. He needed more care. And then I was like, well, I learned a lot from Apple. Why not try this in another realm? So 2010, moved to Atlanta, and I've been here for the last 10 years. And I decided to apply for a state government job in IT. I was like, why not? I got the skill set. And Apple, when you put Apple on your resume and that you got real certifications, because I still do, they current, slid them across the table. And, you know, I seem to be a hot commodity from that perspective. And I came to my last job in 2013 in the fall. I was working for a private institution here, and I told my mom, like, the week before Christmas, and this is no joke, and she can tell you and recant the story. I was like, so I feel like I'm gonna put my 2 weeks notice in, because what I'm doing right now, I can do for more money and for more relationships with clients, because I was pretty much helping them with their infrastructure, with repair queues, all the stuff I had learned from Apple and skills. So I ended up putting in my 2 weeks. And then from there, like, I've been in entrepreneurship like since that time, and just consulting and things of that nature. And, you know, that's pretty much a lot of my journey. And a lot of people don't really know that I started literally, look like the kids say, straight from the bottom. But, you know, at the end of the day, I really worked my way up in the tech space to where I've become and where I've gotten to today.
Yeah. What do you think from your perspective needs to happen to get more people of color into Silicon Valley?
The gatekeepers need to open up the gates. I think that there's not a lot of conversations when it comes to tech about gatekeepers. There are quite a few. But at the same time, on the opposite side of that spectrum, I would also say that the ones who are the gatekeepers need to pay it forward. I'm kind of in this big intentional push to really build a lot of relationships for the long term, because I'm trying to do stuff for the generation behind me. Like, I was having a conversation with a good acquaintance today, and I was telling him, you know, I'm a product of an HBCU and HBCU family. Shout out to the real HU, Hampton University is where I went. And, you know, for me, I'm like, I just literally had this conversation. I was like, I'm focused next year on hiring some HBCU interns, and then I'm going to give them like a full-time job when they graduate. Like, I'm on a big push for that, because I felt like in my last years of my relationship, nobody really opened the door, like, for me per se, when I got started. I got more doors and more relationships as I got in the thick of things. And unfortunately, we're in a world of capitalism. And we're also in a world where it really is, especially in the tech industry, who you know. I feel like intentionally in the last 5 to 6 years, I've been very intentional on the relationships that I've been making with people. And it really has not been about me. It's really been about my thought process to the next thing. But I feel like the gatekeepers need to open the gate. And then the ones who are the gatekeepers, we got to start paying it forward to this next generation, because when you look at technology, it's changing every day. And there could be that next Black Bill Gates, that next, Steve Jobs, Tim Cook, even the team at Facebook. There are a lot of representation when you think about Black women in tech. Even, Kimberly, I can't think of her last name, from Black Girls Code, and I follow her online. Kimberly, if you see this, don't fault me for it. But when you look at her, she's a role model. She is a champion, and she built a lot of relationships she had. But that's what I think, honestly, we need to do in the tech space for real.
Nice. Well, you talk a lot about, man, you're wise and very astute. But I read up a little bit about you. Explain to us what's the zone of excellence?
So there's a difference between the zone of excellence and zone of genius. The book I read called Big Leap. I don't know if you've ever read it. It is a life-changing book. I read it probably the last 3 to 6 months. I've read it. I mean, I'm going to go back and reread it again for the year. So I highly recommend anybody that is tuning in and tapping in, please order that book off Amazon. I'm telling you, regardless of your industry, your niche, who you serve, it's going to change the way you look at your business and look at how you serve. So I realized that my zone of genius and my zone of excellence is definitely two different things. My zone of excellence is more so dealing with SMS and text marketing and things of tech. But my zone of genius is strategy. My zone of genius is teaching. Those are two different perspectives, but can I marry those together? Yeah, but I had to really learn, especially through this transition of me transitioning into the sports niche, that I had to figure out a happy way for those to be cohesive and to really have a lot of meaning. So for me, like I said, my zone of excellence at the end of the day, it's gotten me to a lot of great places. It's gotten me to have a lot of conversations, but my zone of genius is strategy and really teaching the mass of people and really looking at it from a bird's eye view instead of looking at it at a short-term view. So that's how I would kind of describe it in that perspective.
So let's talk about this connectivity fan base that you created. What we got going on here?
Oh gosh. My fan base is interesting. I have some day ones that have been riding with me for a long time. And I'm appreciative of that because especially the last 2 years, and I can say this unapologetically, I really wasn't happy with the work that I was doing. I think from a monetization thing, paid the bills, allowed me to have a nest egg, but I don't think I was really fulfilled in what I was supposed to be doing.
Right.
And I feel like I've even had people in my community, because I'm really antsy about the word saying tribe. I kind of look at it from a slave perspective. So like my mom is a former social studies teacher, so I learned at a young age about a lot of stuff. I'm not words.
No, that's important knowing your history, man.
Yeah.
Most people bypass it and don't think it's necessary to know these things moving forward. When in actuality, you need to know a lot of it, man. For real.
Listen, Raquel Smith made sure I knew a lot of stuff. I learned about bills. I learned about how government work. I appreciate my mother for teaching me things at a young age. But just going back to the fan base question, like I said, I do have a lot of day ones, and I do appreciate them really allowing me to evolve and to become authentically who I am, because I've always been a sports person. I think I've honestly hidden a part of that, when it comes to me. And I think I did it because I was more so just trying to not paint a picture, but I wasn't really trying to be transparent and vulnerable enough for everybody to see all of me. I just wanted you to see this tech stuff. That's it. Like that's all I want y'all to know. We good, sis. We good, bro. That's it. I think now I'm in a season of transparency where I'm sharing that, I love sports. I do love tech. I was just recently diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, so I shared that too. I just feel like it's more now about me sharing my story and sharing my skill set, and for my community and my day ones to be a part of that story. I mean, hey, you might turn a different page in the book. It's all good. I appreciate you for why you were here. That's great. And if you got to leave, I mean, I'm cool with that. If you stay, I appreciate you wanting to stay and stick around and just really seeing what I come up with, because I'll be honest, I've gotten a lot of attention lately, and I've still been the same person offline as I am on. So it amazes my circle and people who know me, like, yo, you getting a lot. I'm like, okay. And like my parents raised me, you speak to the janitor the same way you speak to me. So I'm not about to sit up here and let, internet stuff like kind of take me to another level, because my mother will humble me real quick. So we not want to play them games, but my community is unique. Now it's becoming a lot of, I'll say, Black women in tech who are just seeing me change my narrative and knowing what's possible. Right. I see that there are a lot of, sports people, whether they're marketing, PR, agents, retired athletes, because I have quite a few of them in my following now too. They just want to see what I'm up to and just see how innovative I am. And when we have conversations, they're blown away because they're just like, you're so humble and so cool with it. I'm like, that's how I was raised. I'm not going to sit up here and let clout or fame, or anything like that get to my head, because I feel like I'm just the girl around the way that that you grew up with. What I'm saying? That's really the sense of my community for sure.
Yeah, I do believe vulnerability helps with engagement, though. But we are people, though, that we come from a place where it's hard to be vulnerable when we've been subjected to so much. Go ahead, Zane.
Can you tell us, being that you mentioned sports and you work directly with sports, what sports are you affiliated with for the people that's listening out there?
Yeah, so right now, I have been like pretty much working with mainly, I'll say, it seems like collegiate and retired NFL players. I've been having conversations with quite a few collegiate players that are getting ready to be drafted. It's usually honestly big about relationships. So I will say this, I didn't come because I literally have been transitioning over the last 6 to 8 months into the sports niche. I didn't come in automatically trying to grab a client. And I want to make this statement really clear. I came in trying to build relationships with people who can get me in the doors to get to the situations.
Mhm.
And so for me, I've really gotten a lot of meetings as of late with that. And like, I mean, I got some stuff in the works right now. And of course, through the NDAs, I can't discuss some things, but I know at the end of the day, some of the fruits of my labor are getting ready to pay off with a lot of prominent people, whether they are some collegiate athletes that are going to be like maybe 5th to 6th rounders, maybe 7th rounders or undrafted, to retired players who are doing some amazing things in the tech space or amazing things in e-commerce that kind of are bringing me on for partnerships. And I've also connected recently with a Black guy who's been in the music space who does stuff with NASCAR. So him and I are getting ready to start tapping in on some stuff. And then at the same time, you know, I met with another techpreneur today who is in the sports tech niche, and we're going to start aligning with some stuff too. So I'm really all about building relationships, but it seems like lately, I will be honest, I've gotten a lot of football people, but don't get me wrong. I've had a soccer athlete reached out. We connected this week. We're following up next week. I have some other agents for like WNBA players, other FIBA players that wanted to tap in. So I definitely have like a lot of relationships that I wanted to build first, because it wasn't always about getting the clients first. It was about me building the relationships with their people. And it was very intentional. So I didn't come in like, yeah, I'm gonna be this big shot, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. Nah, but I have attracted a lot more football people because that's where I geared my content. But I think eventually, probably within the next 6 months, my planning for Q1 and Q2 of 2021 is to niche down even more on the specific type of athlete. And I'm gauging my conversations and contracts that are on the table, and I'm taking note of stuff. And I'm knowing right now, based on stuff is looking like a lot of collegiate athletes and some retired NFL players, and like, you know, the soccer players are just the extra.
That's where you want to get them at. So Superphone, tell us about Superphone. What is Superphone and how did it come about?
Oh gosh. So the great, amazing Ryan Leslie, RLS, shout out to you. He's a great guy. He came out with this concept in 2013 because he really wanted to have a direct connection with his fans. He felt like that a lot of social media kind of made it feel like a one-to-many relationship instead of like a one-to-one. And when you look at Ryan's following, he has a huge combination of followers on all of his platforms. But if you take 10% of that, that's really the engagement. Because when you look at social media specifically, the higher you get in following, the lower the percentage is in engagement, because it starts dwindling and dwindling down. So he decided to create Superphone as a way to directly have ownership of his fans, his conversations, and things of that nature. And, you know, his most profitable case study to date was him taking his albums off of streaming platforms, going direct to his consumer, selling it that way, being able to tap in with them to say, hey, I appreciate you purchasing my album and the things of that nature. And it's been in existence for a while. Of course, there's competitors in the space, but you know, I got to tell people all the time, that's the original McCoy right there. And Ryan and his team, which are amazing. Shout out to the marketing team, product team. They're all amazing folks. And the vision that he had back then, and now people are just trying to catch up now, 7 years later. It's amazing to see how forward thinking he was then, and even how forward thinking he is now, because I can tell y'all this now, stuff he's doing for 2021, he's definitely going to be stepping on people's necks for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy because the ownership of your fan base, who gets rid of that?
Nobody at all.
But it is ingenious, and this is probably a zone of genius in his respects, because the digital activity right now, most people are on their phones at least 4.5 hours a day.
Facts.
And it's increasing. And by 2020, people are gonna be on it half of the damn day for 12 hours.
Yeah.
So figured if you can control your own fan base, give them the things that they like, the music, merch, whatever it is, but you directing to them, you ain't got to worry about nobody else, man.
Listen, I put a post on my Instagram, and I want to say it might have been like a week and a half ago. I was saying how this is not going anywhere anytime soon. The CNBC has projected that text is going to probably not only double or triple in 2021. And the reason why, that direct to consumer and having ownership of your fan base is huge.
Right.
It's a play. It's also a ownership where you can go direct to them and cut out the middleman, all these third party platforms. Like, I look at it when I look at these athletes, and this is like how I've been honing in on these conversations with them. I'm like breaking down numbers. I'm like, all right, so you got your platform on Shopify, right? And they're like, no, it's on such third party. I'm like, okay, so I can tell you for a fact I know that they get a cut of this,
Right.
get a percentage of that. I said, but what if you just took the middleman out the picture, went direct to your consumer, put it on Shopify? Yeah, they want to take their 2.9% for payment processing because we know that's how payment processors work.
Mm-hmm.
But you still have that revenue from your fan base free and clear. Period.
Great paper.
And I'm just like, why would you not want to pull your strategy together to be very intentional about going direct to them? Because at the end of the day, they want to hear from you. And I tell all the time, especially like I said, the conversation I've had, even just in the last 48 hours alone, I kid you not, I've been stressing this because I'm like, when you look at that social media relationship, and I remember I follow Kyle Prater. He's a former NFL player. And I got to say this specifically because this happened like maybe a week or two ago. He was having an issue with his Instagram account. And I think it was more so him posting a video or something dealing with his account. And I commented under his post and I said, this is unfortunate. However, I want to try to show you a different narrative to make sure that this doesn't happen to you again. And that going forward, your fan base and your community can see what it is you're trying to share, monetize, or whatever. These examples like that every day. Look at Lil Boosie. Okay, now I know his antics are a little pungent, but he got locked out of Instagram for a good long time. Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook own everything. And I tell people this from a tech perspective. They own everything. They own WhatsApp. They own a lot of companies that a lot of people don't know that they own.
Yeah. Talk about Nipsey's usage of smartphone.
Yeah, Nip knew. Rest in peace to Nip.
Nip. That's right.
He was way beyond his time. And I am still like kind of, even not knowing him, I'm reeling that. Because I think that just from the innovation and technology piece, he knew. Like his CTO, Idris, Sandu, intelligent genius guy. I follow him on all platforms. He knew and he saw the vision when you think about Nip Smart Store. But going back to Nip using Superphone, that was his mailbox money campaign. A lot of people don't know that. That was the case study, and that's what he used for his mailbox money campaign. He basically sold it direct to consumer. Because I think one was either 100 and one was 1,000, if I'm correct, based on just what he's shared. And he sold directly. Ain't no middleman. He sold direct to his fan base. He knew where they were, so if he pulled up in the city, he could do a pop up, show them love.
Right, come out
back and say thank you. I mean, there's so many nuances to that. But Nip was definitely ahead of his time. Cardi B for WAP. I know they use Superphone for that rollout for that. There's so many case studies with Superphone, but people just don't understand how powerful it is to cut out the middleman and go direct to your consumer, go direct to your fan base. It's powerful.
Yeah. It makes me think of like a concierge service, like that personal touch, right? When I think about it, also it makes me kind of think about Kevin Hart is one of the people that I think early on I seen him really monetizing Instagram and his social media and stuff like that. And I read stories about him where he would be promoting movies, and part of his contract he would tell people is, well, I have X amount of followers. If you want me to promote the movie on my on my platform, you have to pay me X amount of dollars. So in my mind, I'm thinking, why not for smartphone purposes? Like, you just eliminate all those people. You go direct to the people, to your fans.
Yeah, I really think, in all transparency, some people get it and some people don't. But then knowing who I am as a person, I think it has a lot to do with their team and coming up with the strategy. Strategy is the core part of the process. If your team cannot help you implement your vision, create a plan, create a strategy, it's not going to work.
That was my next question too.
And I think that it has a lot to do with the strategy, because I can tell you now, if I see how I've been doing case studies on Reels, if anybody follows me on Instagram, I study everybody that I do. I study them like I am taking a collegiate exam. I look at what they have going on, what I want to pinpoint, and what is the pain point or value I see. So like recently, like Brandon Marshall of House of Athlete, I know that he uses text. He uses community, not Superphone, but I know he uses text. He did it in I Am Athlete podcast. He had like a pick me thing, and it basically sent a number. And I was like, ooh, okay. I said, why is he not doing this for I Am Athlete, the podcast? Because that was just one instance. And then I was like, why is he not doing this for House of Athlete? So what did I do? I studied House of Athlete. I said, okay, let me gather my information. Let me see where their pain points are. but I came up with a strategy, and that was really, to be transparent, that was basic. That's not even the depths of levels I could have gone with. It was basic, quick strategy. But going back to your point, like it has to do with strategy. A lot of people don't have one. So yes, Kevin Hart could have
You
sold
said pain points. What are pain points?
So pain points to me are gaps in scenarios. So going back to his thing about Kevin Hart, if he has to put in an X amount of dollars in his contract to get stuff promoted, that's a pain point. So that means that you're not really valuing your following in the first place, or that means you're undervaluing them and you're like taking an undercut when it comes to your monetization, which means you could just cut all that out and just go direct to consumer, leave out the middleman with the contract, and really get what you deserve. That's kind of what I would consider a pain point. And then going to Brandon Marshall's example, you are building House of Athlete. And basically what you're doing is building a new age fitness and e-commerce brand. But I can see that you're asking for emails a lot, but you use text. They're not probably going to sign up for notifications. Why? We're in email overwhelm right now. I think during the pandemic, everybody tried to email people. It's people that you got emails from you ain't heard from in months. Maybe right. I had to unsubscribe from a lot of people in March. I'm like, sis, bro, like I ain't heard from you since last holiday. Like,
people got their phones in their hand, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that I look at pain points from that perspective, like that. Like, what are the gaps? What are the opportunities that I see that could be possible for the strategies? But overall, it comes to like a Kevin Hart's team might not really be looking at this as a strategy. They might just have a linear one instead of like one that could be a little bit more flexible.
Mm-hmm.
Now tell me what, Chris, besides the sports element being the stuff that you're into, are there any like companies that we are aware of, or whether you can speak or not of that you're currently dealing with as far as the Superphone?
I can't speak on one right now because I got an NDA. But let me just say this: a lot of companies are not leveraging text. I'm just going to be transparent. They're really non-traditional. Well, I'm not going to say non-traditional. They're really old school with their marketing. What a lot of these companies have to understand is that at the end of the day, they are not going to survive in this new market and in this new age with old marketing. That's right. It's just not going to work. So you have to go meet your people where they are. And going back to the earlier point, yeah, people are texting every day. Do you know an open rate for a text message is 98% within the 3 minutes that is received?
Damn. Now think about it. That's texting is just one portion.
That's just one portion.
You're spending 4.5 hours texting.
Yes.
So what are you doing with the other freaking 4?
Listen, I mean, that's a conversation for a whole other day, but I feel you.
Crazy, yo.
I feel you, but like, yeah, there's a huge opportunity. And like I tweeted something yesterday because I know the guy that's where the money resides is real popular. So I tweeted something about a CEO from Drift. And now all these top-end CEOs from tech companies or brands are now using text. So I quoted the tweet and I said, I'm trying to tell y'all sleeping on text. You got a lot of these CEOs, COOs starting to use it. I said, it's cool. Me, my clients, and my people, we're going to be where the money resides. Because at the end of the day, it's highly undervalued. But I guarantee you, in the next 2 years, SMS and text is going to take over. All of these long plays trying to get connected to a community or a brands are pushing for that now. When you look at holiday shopping, it's so much easier for Macy's to tell me what they got going on because I gave them my phone number versus giving me my email. I knew everything going on. I got my deals during Christmas. I got my, all my stuff, but it's an easier way for you to connect with me. And brands really need to focus on meeting where their customers are, and most of them are in their phones.
You would think, though, that would be a rather easy shift because we're talking about old marketing, and one of the old marketing employees used to have a mailing list. So what is the difference? Why can't they make the shift in terms of a mailing list?
That's a great question. I think it has to do with the people that are actually putting forth the strategy and the plan. It has to do with their mindset. And I really feel like a lot of people think SMS and text can't work for them. It really can literally work for everybody. It really depends on who you have on your team that is competent enough to create a new strategy on your behalf and execute said strategy. When we're stuck in an old school mentality with marketing, I'll give it to you. Some traditional things work, like sending stuff in the mail. People like stuff in the mail, right? But when it comes to some of these other trends, especially with digital, I just feel like that a lot of people that are at the helm of them are not willing to be flexible and are not willing to be open to new options. Because like a lot of people really like, I really think even in 2021, there's going to be this 1 to 2% of people that are going to be using SMS. And then in 2022, everybody's going to be trying to catch up, but they're going to dominate their market share and their market space because they decided to tap in when they did. Ever since I decided to shift that way during the pandemic, stuff has changed for me because I have that direct connection with people. And I've been making great relationships. So I can tap in with people a lot more now frequently. And like, it's not like it's not a Jonah scammer thing where I'm like, yeah, sign up. I'm going to spam you. No, like I'm trying to really build with people. I text people randomly. I'm like, hey, you want to get on a phone call real quick? And they're like, oh my God, you want to talk to me? Yes, sis. Yeah, bro. Like I'm human. Like let's chop it up. Let me see how I can help you with how I can be a service. Or even if I got somebody in my network and it's not me, I can still point you in the right direction. But I think it's all about the strategy. And there are a lot of people that are in this space and in this industry of marketing, and they just don't want to they just want to hold on for some reason and think it's going to just will them and everything is going to facade and this is going to pass. This is not going to pass. And I know people think like, oh, it's hot and it's trendy. Okay, you can see that way, but I'm looking long term. It ain't going nowhere. You're going to start having sports franchises, college teams in the next 2 to 3 years, especially with name, image, and likeness coming. Man, high school kids are going to start using SMS. They're already texting their friends anyway. Now they're going to make money off of it. I give it 2 to 3 years. I guarantee it.
I think businesses will come along. You know why I think businesses are going to come along though? Because COVID is really hitting people in their pockets and it's money. And it's sad. Like there are some people that only become innovative when cash is low and they don't have the financial resources to do the things that they did previously. Go ahead, Zane. I'm sorry about that.
Can you tell us what are some of the features with Superphone that a lot of people are giving you a lot of positive feedback about?
Yeah, people just love the fact that I know a lot about them because I ask the right questions. When you basically text me, and like, or if you go to texttheblacktechie.com, I send you a message and say, hey, it's Chris. I don't know this number, or it says something along those lines, like fill out this form so I can, we can tap in. I basically ask them key information. I want to know their name. I definitely want to know their birthday, where they're located. Because if I want to pull up virtually or just, when the world gets its life back together, if I decide to pop up in a city like Charlotte or something like that, and I know you're in Charlotte, I can reach out. But, just the personalization has been a huge factor. And the fact that I really know how much they've tapped in with me. And even on a monetization play, if I know how much they spend with me and I can thank them for their support. I think that a lot of those things are huge features and that it's really me. Like, as my team grows, I'm not allowing anybody else to control that narrative for me. I'm having access to my phone. And Ryan is honestly the same way. Ryan controls his phone. Nobody on the team does. Right. He's answering that. And he's managing, like, I think last time we checked, maybe over 42,000 conversations.
Wow.
He's managing that. Nobody on the team is doing that. And I aspire to be at that level because that's the one thing I don't want to automate. That's the one thing I don't want somebody to take away from me. I want that personalization. So besides knowing about them, knowing how much they spent with me, knowing how much that they tapped in with me, people love the fact that it's personal and they can really connect with me. Because a lot of people on social feel like that they're one of your followers. But when you're talking to them, that's a one-on-one thing. And so they love the personalization.
And what fan wouldn't want that to be talk directly to the people that they admire and trust? And I mean, that's a great system to have, man. And I don't see it. I see it only going up.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about that too. Like, is there the use of, but a possibility of automation? Because look, I look at my phone sometimes and I have 6 text messages and I'd be overwhelmed with it. So imagine if you're a celebrity and everybody has your number and they texting you, and you want to have that personal touch, but there has to be some sort of automation feature, right?
Yeah, it definitely has a lot of automation, but I also think it goes back to my earlier point about having the right team that can help you manage it. As you grow in scale, especially people of celebrity status, Ryan is fortunate where, yes, he does have a team around him, but he really personally manages those conversations. But what I love about what Ryan does, he leaves it to the contact to build a relationship. He lets them know, like, hey, you text me, you tap in, whatever. The funny story, and I'm gonna share this real quick. The reason why I became a brand ambassador is because I text Ryan. And this is before I was already in his phone. But I reached out and asked him, I was like, how do you become a brand ambassador for Superphone? Because by this time, I'm already talking about it on the platforms. I'm already using it with clients and myself. That came through a text. He told me who to contact on their team. I contacted, we had a meeting, and the rest is history. But my point in saying that is that he is managing a lot of conversations, but the fact that I wanted to tap in with him and connect with him, that speaks volumes. So like you have to really be wanting on the other as a fan to really be tapped in and really wanting to be connected and engaged. Because people can send you fluff all day, but I feel like if the athletes specifically, and even with celebs, I know that they have good teams around them, but I feel like too, sometimes even if you just take an hour out your day to respond to some messages from your fans, it could be a 16-year-old in Chicago that might be going through a lot in his home life, and he wants to be the next, I can't think of the player from the Utah Jazz. Is it Dorian Mitchell?
Donovan Mitchell.
Okay, sorry about that, Donovan. That he can want to be the next Donovan Mitchell, right? Then it could be, the kid that's from Broward County, Florida, that's looking up to a Lamar Jackson because that's his hometown. That he could tap in with them. I mean, it's so many opportunities that I look at that, and I just feel like it's all about having the right team. But at the same time, just make the time. Take that hour or even that 30 minutes. If you can answer a few texts, you can let the fan know, like, hey, got a few minutes, so I just wanted to go ahead and answer your question. I'll check back with you in a few days, because there's automation in Superphone where you can have a follow-up. There's called a never lose touch feature.
Yeah, that will blow a fan's mind. So he got a text from his favorite football player.
Listen, but that's truly how you build relationship.
Right.
That Ryan had where he was shooting a video, and this is real. You can check out some of his interviews because he said this. He texted somebody in his phone, and the fan said, "Hey, I own or I manage, some fleets of cars. If you need some, I could pull up." He was like, "Yeah, how many do you need?" Ryan was like, "I need 20." Something like that. The fan was like, "All right, bet." He was in the video. Not only that, Ryan gave him like a bar for a line, and he provided all of the cars for the video. That's what I mean about having that engagement and wanting to tap in with who you're tapped in with. You never know. Somebody could get a job that way. Somebody could get an intern.
Unlimited possibilities.
Yep. So like I'm really, really mindful of that. And like I said, I do understand it, but Superphone honestly was created to grow to scale. Ryan is managing, like I said, he's managing his own conversations. If an athlete or if a celebrity chooses not to, you can get a team to help you. They can learn how you respond to stuff. Even if you took a time to just answer 10, if you got a quick 30 minutes before break, that can make not only that fans or that community person day, but that builds and starts real connections for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I was surprised, being that Shark Tank been out for a while, that Ryan or any of the reps for whether you or any other reps for Superphone didn't use a pitch deck to speak to investors about that.
Well, I mean, Ryan does have some investors, but I think he really wanted to have full ownership of the platform.
Got you.
Really do it that way. And I mean, and this is just me speaking as a brand ambassador, not really for them. As a brand ambassador, I see the long-term playing strategy, and I know that he wants to definitely keep everything in-house because it's like his baby. He built it, you know what I'm saying? And Ryan, for the most part, had a vision back then, and he saw the possibilities, and he was way ahead of the curve. But for certain things, especially because I can say this in the tech world, sometimes it's best to kind of, know when to hold them and know when to hold them. And this is something that you definitely want to hold on to and not really get into that play. But if I was in Ryan's shoes, I wouldn't want to go on Shark Tank either. I appreciate what they do, but I would want to keep full ownership and just take maybe private investments, few and far in between, so I can still maintain my ownership.
Yeah. Now, is there a way that people can get involved in the private investments? Whether, us that's interviewing you or people that we know?
So not at the moment. I don't believe. What I would recommend just text Ryan. Seriously, you go to textryan.com. He can provide you. He's probably going to tell you who to contact on his team, but he can at least give you some more information in regards to that. But as of note, like I said, I can't really speak to all of that stuff. But I would say tap in with him. He'll text you real quick and let you know.
Yeah, and he wrote the original code for it, right?
Yes, he did. So he decided to take some coding classes, and I admire that because I think that shows he really believed in his product. So to have the CEO and founder say, "No, I'm a code the first version out," and it's not. He'll tell you it's not as how it is now. But I mean, you got to start somewhere. And I mean, I know some of the users that have been around with him for a long time, and they've seen iterations. And I mean, I've just been around with them, not that long, probably about almost 9 months, going on to a year. And I've seen iterations and stuff and changes already. I'm excited when they push the next updates because I just think that what they're doing from a technological perspective is very innovative. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, even outside of this space, I've always thought of him as like just a person who was a visionary.
He Ryan
individual.
Always on some different stuff, but I'm here for it. You know what I'm saying? Like the stuff that he thinks about Superphone and just the conversations that he has. And just when you look at the content that he's created and even for other interviews that he's done, he is sincerely very innovative.
Very innovative, man. Pioneers don't need validations to move forward. So
facts.
Yeah. Well, while we have you, let me ask you another question. Let me pick your brain on this. What are your thoughts on Clubhouse? Now that Clubhouse is all the rage for everybody.
Oh my God, I love Clubhouse.
Is that something? Should I jump the bandwagon, Shaw? You saying this Clubhouse thing a lot?
Clubhouse is good. I will say I have made a lot of relationships with Clubhouse over the last 2 weeks, and I think I have regularly networking via social media in the last like 3 to 6 months. I can say that wholeheartedly. But at the same time, I came providing value like I always did. Of course, you're gonna have some rooms that's gonna be capped, and you're gonna know real quick who capping. But there's also the rooms that are extremely valuable. That is where a lot of connections are going to go down. And I mean, like, we're going to start from Clubhouse. Now we here. Like, I'm not talking about from a romantic or sexual perspective. I'm talking about business. Like, able to do a virtual chat if you feel comfortable enough to do social distance, like, face to face, depending on where you are. There have been a lot of fruitful conversations that have happened from Clubhouse. So I like Clubhouse. It is definitely a part of my strategy to really network. I've met some amazing people in the sports niche on Clubhouse, especially these last 2 weeks. And it's because I've been in the right rooms. I've also given value in those rooms. And I've also made sure that I've always was unapologetically myself in those rooms as well. So I'm definitely here for Clubhouse. I'm hoping that they continue to keep it in beta. I feel like when it gets public, that's where it might get a little bit interesting. But I know at the same time,
Facebook is now.
Yeah, but I know at the same time, Twitter is rolling out Spaces. So it's going to be interesting to see how that pairs out.
Nice.
Yes,
Zane.
So the Superphone app is available on iOS and Android, correct?
That is correct. Yep. You can download that today. You can definitely sign up. It's not like you got to be waiting, because some people think like, I'm going to sign up and I'm not going to get a phone number. No, you sign up, you pay based on the plan that you choose, you select your number, and then you get started. But I will say this too, make sure that when you're going through that process, you already have a strategy in mind, because I know a lot of people that I have shared links with and things of that nature, like, go ahead and sign up, and then they sign up and then they sitting on it. And I'm like, this time you could have been using to connect with your community, but you just were, kind of in shiny system syndrome, or shiny tech syndrome, I like to call it, and you were just excited about it. And I feel like from the perspective of just making sure that you're going to utilize it, sign up, utilize it. It can be so transforming. Right. And I think that a lot of people are really underestimating its power. But yeah, you can definitely sign up right now. It's on iOS and Android platforms.
Nice.
That's a great product, man. I like it.
Yeah, it's amazing. I have definitely, like I said, that is where I push a lot of people to. Anybody that wants to tap in with me, like I tell them, I'm very honest. Like, you send in an email, it's going to be in my email inbox with everything else. I'm cleaning my inbox out over the next few weeks, but I'm going to respond to a text quicker than I would probably a DM. Mm-hmm. So I always tell people all day, like, you probably be best on texting me.
Yeah. Well, tell for the viewers, the people that are listening and the people that are watching, how can they get in contact with you aside from texting you? Give out your social media information.
Yeah, most definitely. I am at the Black Techie on all social platforms. I'm too hard to. I will honestly say I'm probably more on Instagram and Twitter. I love on Twitter having thought leader type of conversations, and LinkedIn as well. Instagram, you'll see me do a lot of reels, a lot of static posts for content. I definitely recommend y'all go check out textthebblacktechie.com. Tap in with me. That's how you can text me and connect with me one-on-one. I really do respond. I am a night owl, so you might, if you're talking to me at like midnight, don't be surprised if I respond back, because I'm probably up. And then with it being NFL season, what a lot of people don't know is that I actually help co-lead official Ravens fan club down here in Atlanta. Like, we work with the the Ravens team, and I've been doing that for the last 6 years. So during football season, I'm probably watching football late. So if you text me and you talking about the game, I'm probably gonna respond. It's probably gonna shock you, but I know what I'm talking about when it comes to sports. So at the end of the day,
Okay.
Black Techie on all socials. Text the blacktechie.com. Tap in with me. I would love to connect with you all. Talk to you about Superphone. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Well, again, thank you. Thank you for coming on. The Black Techie, ladies and gentlemen, Chris Smith.
We appreciate
Thank
you.
you very much, Chris.
Appreciate it.
Have a good evening.
You too.
There you have it. The Black Techie, Chris Smith. Superphone, if y'all haven't had an opportunity, it's available, like she said, iOS, Android. Great platform. Ryan Leslie wrote the original code for it. For those that don't know who Ryan Leslie is the producer. He did a lot of production for Fabulous. He did production for Puff. He's a singer also. The dude is a Harvard graduate. You know, he's definitely an innovator.
He's a visionary too, like a motherfucker. He's a pioneer in so many areas, man. That's dope. Man.
Yeah. Switching gears, so let's get to some of the rest of our commentary for tonight, some of our other conversations. So, you know, this is one that Zane and I started talking about on a live earlier this week, and it's coming up. And you know, everybody else on social media, they see all of the memes. They see all of the articles and things that pop up as it relates to it. So we decided to put this question to the audience. You know, the COVID vaccine is now here. Are you taking the COVID vaccine? Yes or no, and why? Rob, you wanna answer? Are you taking it?
I'm not. No, I'm not taking no damn vaccine. Let me explain why, man. This is your life that you're talking about. It's not an experiment. And I think people are missing the point when you're talking about how the medical profession intercedes in people's lives, man. They've been doing this for years and hundreds of years, and they've used the media to circumvent what's natural, what's considered alternative, and doing away with that. You got to look at, man, the rise in garlic and sea moss has went through the roof. You can't even go certain places without finding that. But people are finding ways to stay healthy. Now with me, my immune system is compromised, and I haven't heard a thing from my PCP. So I'm not voluntarily going out there. You think about these companies. I'm not going to speak their names because I don't want us to get executed out here. But, yo, these viruses, if you get sick, you cannot sue. What I've learned about the Hippocratic Oath, that's a morally binding situation. That's not legally binding. So if your ass gets sick, you end up with a third toe or your fucking ear fall off, who are you gonna sue? Where are the guidelines if you do get sick? I guarantee that I have a law office ready to take your case once it happens. I'm not taking it. I know the history of this country. I know biochemists and geneticists who know all sorts of things about what the country does with materials, the policies that authorities use to fund these situations. They've been doing this since the early 1920s and 19 teens or whatever. I'm not doing it. I'm not putting myself in it. I'll still drink my tea. I'll take my sea moss. I'll eat my garlic. I'll do all my natural stuff. And whatever I have to take now, because of my situation, I'm going to stick with that. But I'm not doing anything different. I'm sorry.
Zane, what's up? You taking it? You muted.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, I'm not taking it, man. I'll stick to the regular stuff, like I said before, elderberry, black seed, and ginger, and several other things. But no, because just like with anything, like I said before, anything that comes out, especially if it's something that's dealing with medicine or any type of vaccine or serum, you can't be the first one off the porch taking something like that, because it's too many ways where things can go bad. After the scientists, doctors, and analysts look things over maybe a second or third time, and it's a proven track record that people are getting healthier, their immune system is not compromised, then maybe I might factor it in, but that maybe still doesn't solidify yes. But at least I would know, like, maybe the second or third trial, that a lot of people out there, like the elderly people that's in nursing homes and stuff like that, and front line, people on the front line that actually are the first and second to take it, that they'll be secure. But we don't know that until, like I said, the second or third time around, when they got to do it, improvements or upgrades.
So is it the mistrust for the government, or it's the science that we don't feel good about? Which one is it?
It's both for me.
It's the mistrust of the government and the usage of it, because this is chemical warfare. You got to remember Rockefeller. Let's just use Rockefeller as an example. He's actually considered the father of pharmaceutical medicine, because he found that they can use petroleum and medicine. Petroleum is addictive. These things make you want to keep taking drugs, and because of that, he controlled the media, and then he controlled the idea of telling people, yo, all this other naturopathic, holistic, natural way of living, all of it's unscientific. You do the knowledge of this stuff, you already know, man. You know what alkaline water does. You know what eating green vegetables do. You know what fruit does. You should know what grains do. You should know what starch does. All these things you should know. But the doctor's not going to tell you that. These are things you need to know on your own. But if you listen to the news, you listen to the media, and they'll put you and it's fixed like, damn, if I don't take it, I can't go to the Knicks game. Damn, if I can't take it, I can't go to Jamaica next week. Damn, if I can't take it, I can't go to the bar and hang out.
Mm-hmm.
That's controlled media. And you got Bill. I'm not even gonna put niggas' names into it, man.
I'm glad you said that, Rob, because I'm glad you touched on the media, because the one thing about it,
pharmaceutical medicine is the third leading cause of death for medical error in America. The
top 5 in the financial industry.
Right.
Also, revenue is generated.
The question was asked behind one of them vaccines, how much money they kicked out. The doctor said about $4 billion. Niggas is always writing checks for someone who don't fell victim to a vaccine or medicine, and you got to think about petroleum. Petroleum, that's cancer, right? You can just medicine cancer.
That's why I told y'all in the group chat when I was saying, I feel like a couple of years from now, we're going to be up watching TV late at night, and it's going to be a mesothelioma situation where they're like, did you
take dribbling, drooling? Come on, I'm not doing that.
But so look, Nels, you got it right. I think if Apple puts out a phone and updates it 3 or 4 times to get it right, that's how I feel about taking the vaccine.
There you have
it. To trust medicine that we're going from, not overseen by an administration that has demonstrated my health is unimportant to them. Bleach herd immunity. That's an interesting comment. Because there hasn't been much emphasis placed on, aside from we got to get a vaccine. But right now, even if you think about it,
my wife, I won't reveal her age. She's never taken the flu shot. Neither have I.
Yeah.
And I just had my 48th birthday. And that's not saying nothing, but listen, I know what it is to eat healthy and how that feels. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of your health, hear me out, a lot of your health has to do with how you thinking. Ain't got nothing to do with the food and the shit you put in your body. If you're a pessimistic person and thinking negative, trust me, your body's going to be affected by that.
Yeah. Yeah, Zane, you was going to say something?
And when you're dealing with these different networks, right? What's some of the main commercials that come on these different networks to pay for paying out these different networks for their ads?
Pharmaceutical commercials.
There it is.
Mm-hmm.
They lead in everything. They are the policy makers and the authority and what goes and what's being said and what's being put in front of the public. That's the part, but no one wants to speak of that because We live in a country where your ass might get executed if you say the wrong fucking thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's why I said. That's why I said earlier.
But people still need to know.
Yeah.
People need to know for real.
Willie, Willie D, when Zane shared a post and I was saying, oh man, why would Willie D put that out there so fast? Well, two reasons. The first reason why I said why would Willie D put that out there so fast is because I think now we're in a generation where there's so much going on social media that requires all kind of fact checking. And I don't know if you guys noticed that anytime you post anything related to COVID, there's like a little disclaimer at the bottom that says something like click here for more information on COVID or whatever it is. So there's clearly keywords that's built within that algorithm that picks up on if this is a discussion that you're having. So for me, I'm like, you know what? I can agree with what Willie D is saying, but I think that until the science catches up with it, that's why I'm like, we have to be cautious about how we move around it.
These people, they can find scientists in Russia to create a bomb and blow up a whole goddamn country. But we can't have the scientists really put something into play to eradicate whatever it is that we're going through. All the things that you need come from nature, B. All of them, every last thing. But we're trying to put petroleum in the shit so we can cut it and make it cheaper so we can sell it more. No one wants to go into a rainforest and pull things out from leaves and herbs. These things are the essential things that are for the anatomy of the body. All of that shit, dude.
Well, I feel like probably over the next couple of months, there's going to be different, just as Nels was saying, there's going to be different variations of what the actual vaccine looks like. Because I know AstraZeneca is developing theirs. I forget who the companies. There's quite a few other companies.
It's a designer drug. You had a Louis
that are putting it out. So,
oh man, I'm done. I'm not taking it, bro.
Yeah, there's a number of different variations that of that vaccine that we're gonna go through before that.
I got a direct link with my urologist, my nephrologist, and my primary care, and I've heard nothing from them urgent because of my immune system being just what it is. That Mr. Browder, I suggest you do this because you're in that position. Absolutely not. I'm not volunteering that. This is my life, B. I'm trying to be here for another 40 clicks. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know.
You need to take that position and kind of just be cognizant of how you take care of your health. Stop putting your health in someone else's hands. The Hippocratic Oath is a moral oath, not a legal binding oath. Not all doctors are morally in their mind to sit here and preach you for what it is. You know for a fact that they can make some money if you break your leg and get your ass sick because you're going to keep coming back for more and they keep giving you a fucking prescription to come back again. Trust me, I was on blood pressure medication. My wife changed my diet. There's a pill that I don't take no more ever.
Yeah.
My diet. So,
yeah. I'm interested in seeing though, like where this goes. I shared with Zane, there was a poll that they had on CNN where they said 20% of black people said they're going to take it. It was like another 60% of black people said they're going to wait and see what happens after the first round of people take it. And then there was 20 people who flat out said they're not taking it. And I thought that was a good indication of where we are as black people, right? There's 20% of people probably like, yeah, I'm cool with it, whatever, I'll do it. And then there's the routine black people that have healthy skepticism, as we should have healthy skepticism about everything. You know, and there's the last 20% of people that's like, yo, I don't care what you say. I have no level of trust for the government or science based on historical things that we've been subjected to, right?
Yo, sir.
Yo, that poll.
We just had another benchmark in history, but they're trying to play the same old tricks. Let me control the media. If I got control of the media, I can control the numbers. I'm controlling what people are watching. So if I put enough fear in the minds of those who are watching, half of them people, it's going to stick. They're going to be out here wearing masks and all sorts of like fucking running around crazy, man.
Yeah. Shout out to Marcellus. What's good, bro? Marcellus says, I will not take the vaccine. We don't know who's getting the real vaccine and who is getting a placebo. There has not been any group study related to the COVID vaccine. Let me ask you this though, Marcellus, because I know in your line of work, do you think that New York State government is going to mandate that the people who work for New York State government get the vaccine? Because you know that's I think that'll probably be coming. I'd be interested in hearing his take on that.
Yo, man, once the authority and the policymakers say that people got to do it, they're gonna do it.
Yeah, you know that's why I've told you on a number of occasions already. That's how they're gonna get you. It's either you want to travel, you got to take the vaccine. You want to go to the game, you got to take the vaccine. You want to put your kid in school, you got to take the vaccine. You want to get, you want this job, you got to take the vaccine. So they're gonna find a way to pigeonhole people into doing it with the understanding that some people just flat out aren't gonna do it. And then here's another thing, right? You have some people that are just anti-vaxxers. They just oppose the vaccines altogether. And you have people that don't take vaccines for religious beliefs.
Right.
I had no idea because I'm so far removed from having children. But when I was in a barbershop the other day, my barber was telling me something like that. His pediatrician told him for his daughter that he was recommending like 40 some shots. I was like, yo, 40 shots. 40 shots. Yo, maybe I'm dating myself because I'm like, didn't we have like measles, mumps, rubella, smallpox, something like that? Like
there's a bunch of them early on.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny, I caught the chicken pox twice. But
it had to be a handful, right? It wasn't no 40 some damn shots.
40 some shots. They were and nothing affected you growing up as a kid. We was drinking from hydrants in the Bronx. You was doing all sorts of shit. You get cut, the shit heals up. You was out in the park again. I didn't start hearing cancer until the late 70s, 80s. Like, what was that? But living was different. Living was totally different. Nothing was rapid pace and doing these things the way we're doing. Nothing was microwave. And you waited for tomatoes to grow, my nigga. You waited for celery to come from the ground. You went outside and got some fresh air. That meant something. It meant something to sit in the sun.
Help to develop your immune system playing in the dirt.
But now it's telling you stay in the house, keep a mask on your face, totally take away from your vulnerability of being out in nature. So now when you go out there, you get sick. What shit is that?
Yeah, see, so he said they're making part of the front line. Part of the front line of workers are going to have to take it, and it will be available for us to take if we want, but it's not mandatory at this point. So, that's what it is. They're gonna figure out a way to make sure that people get it. They want to know vaccinate kids for the things they might get as an adult, HPV.
Right.
They want to now vaccinate kids for the things they might get as an adult, HPV and stuff like that. Yeah.
That's right, man.
New illegal business. Fake. I took the vaccine certifications.
What you guys, son?
Yeah. So
you already know what you got.
So here's the thing. Maybe all of us would be safe if we deal with COVID the way Tyrese is dealing with COVID. Zane told us.
I'm gonna start going to sleep in 90-degree weather. So like Tyrese said.
California, you can't catch it in California in the summertime.
So, well, for those that don't know, Tyrese put a post out telling the world that to prevent catching COVID, he sleeps in 90-degree temperature.
Oh my God.
It's funny, but I'm concerned about Tyrese. Tyrese has had some real mental health moments recently.
Some rants, right? I think he hasn't been well since homeboy passed away, man. I think, that's a different environment that the guys is in. They probably see and hear stuff.
Nah, I know him and The Rock was beefing. Rock might have caught him on the back street and dinged him up a couple of times.
Something, man. But
he took his brain up.
But by his theory,
up the handle though.
His theory and his logic is, if that's the case, then why did COVID exist throughout the summer, and why does COVID exist in warm climate countries?
Right. You know what I mean? It's ultimately how you take care of your body. About 85% of the people do not take care of their body. I know for a fact over 75% of people do not constantly or consistently drink water. Well, as basic as that may sound, a lot of people do not drink water or adequate water.
You ever heard the theory that something where people are like you got to sweat out a cold? Maybe that's what Tyrese is doing. He think you got to sweat out COVID.
I think that's I remember days my mom gave me that blackberry brandy and the rock candy and put your ass in bed.
You got to sweat out a cold. You got to sweat out COVID. Nell says there have been more cases of cancer, ADHD, Down syndrome, and allergies in kids born after 2000, mainly due to immunization shots that are forced on them to take. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say that they feel like there's a direct correlation between vaccines and and developmental disabilities and things like that.
The rise of being allergic to strawberry, fish, peanut. All that stuff went up after 2000. Man.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people that are straight up and down that just anti-vaxxers. They're like, nah, I'm cool on it, And there are communities that, there are communities in particular in New York State that'll remain nameless, that when COVID was at its height, they were having all kind of religious get-togethers and all kinds of stuff going on. 700, 800 people that some of the vaccines and stuff like that, they're not going for. They're not giving their children no vaccines. So I want to see if they force these vaccines down, the inner city kids.
What's the basis of them making that type of judgment? Trust me, it's history, nigga.
Mm-hmm.
You know what this country is capable of doing. That's it.
Plus, we all know the United States is a business. It's a corporation. So capitalism is always going to be at an all-time high. Just like you mentioned other episodes before, if you got other countries out there outside of America that don't pay, the citizens don't pay for insurance, don't pay for education, but we doing all that stuff over here. Come on, something's not right. And we're supposed to be the richest country in the world. Nah.
Yeah, speaking of capitalism, Mackenzie Scott, for those who don't know who Mackenzie Scott is Jeff Bezos' ex-wife, donated more than $130 million to a handful of HBCUs. What's your thoughts on that, Zane? Well, actually, let me read off the list. The
overall donation was $4.2 billion.
So let me read off the list of some of the schools. Dillard University, $5 million. Clark Atlanta University, $15 million. Elizabeth City State University, $15 million. Claflin University, $20 million. Delaware State University, $20 million. University of Maryland Eastern Shore, $20 million. Lincoln University, $20 million. Virginia State University, $30 million. Winston-Salem State University, $30 million. Norfolk State University, $40 million. Morgan State, $40 million. Prairie View A&M University, $50 million, and a whole list of a whole bunch of others that she donated to. What Zane, go ahead, finish up. What do you think about this?
Well, I know that was a very, very overwhelmingly generous contribution. And overall, that was a great thing that, people with great minds would do. I think that's a great step forward, given the multi-million dollars to the HBCU. Shout out to Mackenzie Bezos, or Scott, I should say now. But yeah, Scott, I'm sorry. But see, the only trick bag that I don't like about that, being that we had touched the vaccine situation, I don't want it to be where these HBCUs, when stuff starts to get crazy with this COVID stuff as far as vaccines, that some of that money is the blanket as far as for any type of stuff that goes on in an ill way as far as medicine, or as far as the vaccines for any of the students that get the virus. I mean, get the vaccine shot.
Well, let me say this. Funny you say that, because one of the things that really stood out to me with this donation is that she donated this money and she didn't put a criteria in place for donating.
Which she said there are no conditions or how you use the money.
Yeah, which to me, being an adjunct professor is something that I can appreciate, because there are a whole bunch of other circumstances that come with people actually going to school that a lot of people don't take into consideration. Everybody think it just stops at tuition. But there are other things that are very much impediment to people actually, matriculating. And I've seen it where, there are people who, and you wouldn't think this would be the case, but there are people who don't have a computer. There are people who don't have the ability to actually get the book. Even now they're doing leasing books, to lease the book. There are people who can't afford with the Meals Act, the meal plan. There are people who can't afford transportation. There are people who can't afford to get to internships. So I appreciate the fact that there's not a criteria in place. Hell, the school that I teach for, when COVID hit, they were giving students like subsidies also and giving students money. They gave students, I think for students who didn't have laptops, got laptops for students and stuff like that. So sometimes when people give these endowments, they handcuff what people could do with the money. They'll have like stuff in their stipulations where it can't go towards salaries for positions. Well, some of the positions that you need for some of these schools is you need somebody who is going to fundraise. They may have a stipulation in there that says that it can't go directly to athletics or whatever it is. But the fact that she basically gave them a check and said, do with it how you see it to do for the students. And that, when you start talking about that as it relates to a HBCU, man, like that's admirable.
Listen, I have nothing to say. Once she said there's no conditions used for this money, I mean, there's no strings attached.
Yeah, I've been involved with organizations where they get where we've gotten grants or large sums of money, and there's very clear stipulations about how the money is spent. They'll be like, this person's salary can only be that much. This much can only be used directly on the client. You can only use this much for your overhead, your brick and mortar. This much can go to this. You can't do that with it. You can't do this or do that or whatever. So they've given you the money, but they've handcuffed you and basically told you how they want you to spend the money.
What was she thinking? She's like, you know what? I'm giving all this shit away. I'm tired of all this shit.
Well, you know what? We remember last week when we were talking about
man.
Last week when we were talking about charity, and remember we were saying like the charitable flex,
right?
And that's a charitable flex right there. And also what she was probably thinking about, because I believe she's like an author also, she's probably looking and saying like these are the schools that really need the money to actually benefit, and could actually benefit from getting the money. If you think about it, how much fundraising and how much money the Harvards and Princetons of the world get, so
right. You could have MIT, Cambridge. I mean, what was it, about 42 colleges, universities she's donating?
Yeah, she. I mean, look, if these schools aren't trying to put her name on a library or or do something to honor her or giving her, I'm sure she probably this year or next year she probably gonna get all kind of honorary degrees and doctorates.
I'll tell you what though, when I was reading over like all the money she spent, like I said, it was 4.2 billion in 4 months. So there's a lot of small businesses out there that she allocated the money to. So I'm like, man, 4.2 billion in 4 months. Some people, a lot of multi-millionaires, celebrities, even billionaires don't even put 10% of that out.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true, Nels. Though, like, yeah, you don't want people misappropriating the funds because you don't want the head of the school, giving himself $1 million,
$80,000.
Yeah, and here's the crazy thing about that, because there's a lot of people don't realize that these schools are for-profit entities. They're businesses, right? So aside from when you start talking about like the state universities, but a lot of these schools are for-profit industries. So there has to be some sort of checks and balances in place. There was I don't know if it was at Delaware State. I forget what school it was. It was like a couple of years ago where they caught somebody working in a financial office. I don't know if the financial aid office. I don't know if it was Delaware State or if it was Howard. It might have been Howard, where they caught somebody in a financial aid office that was taking people financial aid money. And they had, I don't know if you guys ever seen the interview on Flip the Script, and the woman that was on she was on the BET joint too, where she got caught 2 times by the feds working in a financial aid office of a college where she was taking the money and misappropriating the funds. So, a lot of these schools also have boards and things like that in place. If you got a good board and they're watching it, like, yeah, there definitely needs to be some sort of some sort of regulation in place. It has to be regulated. But sometimes when people get like tedious in terms of the stipulations, it really handcuffs what people could do with the money, you know. And then at the end of the day, if you have somebody with, I'd like to believe that I know there's some horrible people, but I like to believe there's some people with good intentions. And like I said, like the school that I teach at, some of the stuff that they do for students when I was in college, it was unheard of. You know, they helping people with transportation, giving people laptops. When I was in college, it was like, you ain't got a computer? What you doing in school?
Right.
Taking up space.
What you doing in school? But that's all probably like a bigger conversation. That's all part of schools are evaluated by a graduation rate and retention rate. So they want to keep students continuing to come back to school, and they want the students to matriculate.
That's right. We need them in the building, man.
Yeah. But again, like to me, the fact that she even did that, I'm like, wow, how about that? How about that?
Mackenzie, send me a check. Nose Kitchen, we need a check, Mackenzie. we got big plans on the side of plan.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm sure she probably doing something with small businesses also.
Yeah, son.
Nah, that's what I was saying. That 4.2 billion in 4 months was towards a lot of small businesses too.
Yeah. And here's the crazy thing that people are gonna say about it. Nobody's gonna look at it and how beneficial it is. You know what people are gonna say? That's a tax write-off. Yeah, that's a tax write-off.
It is.
You're right, babe. Bill Cosby did give the HBCUs for years, especially. He's getting to any college he was invited to. He was giving up money, man.
Yeah.
But he was pro education, man. That's it.
Yo, we talking about Bill Cosby in the past tense. He was. he was. Yo,
I did read. Yeah, they did say that he was the one that gave the most of them HBCUs, but yeah, Mackenzie got him beat now.
He's probably the one putting stipulations on shit. You can only give it to this.
Tyrese needs to be back on the bus singing. Yo, let me say this. Let me say this real quick, because the next episode that we do will have been our 50th episode of No Ideas Original Podcast, right? And you know, I always go back to the initial phone call that I made to Rob in Walmart parking lot. I was in Walmart and I didn't
even know that.
Talking to my wife about doing a podcast and everything. I was like, yo, I'm gonna call up Rob and see if Rob want to get in on this, you know, and that sparked the conversation, and then you know, it evolved over time. And I think the first conversation we had related to like content, I think you may have been in the hospital when I called you, right? I think I called to check on you in the hospital. You was in the hospital, and you know how you call it, and we talked about it, we chopped it up. But I have to say, like, you know, for us to be, you know, and start in March on SoundCloud only, and then, you know, get on all these other platforms, and then YouTube in May, you know, here we are, you know, here we are. And to me, it's like, it's really dope. Like I personally feel, you know, I'm blessed to have, you know, to have you guys as partners. You know, we got Rob brokered the deal with the calendars and helps get the interviews with the elders. We got Zane helps getting all the interviews also. Then we got Kareem, Kenyatta, and Theo. The No Ideas Original Sports Podcast. So yo, we making big moves, you know, like probably a month into it, I said to myself, I was like, you know something? We gonna make No Ideas Original LLC.
That's right.
Right? So we created it as a business. And then from there, we trademarked the name. So I'm bringing this all up to say that our trademark went public for opposition in November.
Nice.
And nobody opposed our trademark, so No Ideas Original.
It's 100% ours.
It's ours. It's going to be trademarked. You know, we put the work in as a team, and we're going to continue to put the work in as a team and continue to grow, you know, our platform. One thing that we're learning on the fly is that, and for people that watch us, you know, whether you watch us and you're vocal and you tell us you watch us, because I do have, you know, good friends like Marcellus, shout out to Pete, Nikki, you know, people who watch and come back, give us feedback and everything. And then we have people who ghost watch us also, you know, probably just to watch to see what it is that we're doing, you know. And I'm not gonna speak for you guys, speak for me or whatever. I'm learning YouTube etiquette. I'm not a, how you call it by trade. I'm not a YouTuber. We just got on YouTube. We started doing this because, our motto is, we just want to have some dope grown adult conversations.
That's right.
Yeah, and here we are now doing it. So I just, I'm excited about where we gonna go or where we gonna continue to go with this because, for me, it doesn't stop with us just putting our stuff up on YouTube and being like, all right, we on YouTube, When we created No Ideas Original LLC, we like, all right, there may be an opportunity for us to do something as it relates to finance, to fashion, to movies, to whatever it is, like we got big dreams and big goals and different things that we want to do with this. So
yeah, man, we got extended family and we have connected so many people in a short period. 50 episodes. A great accomplishment, man. And just right out of Walmart, and we started it started to pick up, man. And I'm happy with what we're doing. I'm glad we got the team that we have. Shout out to Zane, shout out to Yada, Kareem, and Theo.
Yeah.
I think the best is yet to come, and we still learning.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't none of us journalists, you know what I'm saying? But we come in here, we have good, powerful information to give out. We have great interviews. We have great communication. We got great chemistry. I think sky's the limit for us, man. Just keep doing what we're doing. And just, just work at it, man.
Yep, Nels.
Yeah, anybody that's tuning in. Hi, go ahead, Shana.
I said, Nels, we may take you up on that because, I bring that up to say, like, we, one of the things that we talk about behind the scenes is we also hoping to add, like, other additional podcasts.
Right.
No Ideas Original LLC. So for the people who look at us and look and, try to figure out what our views on what we doing, that you just need to know, like, we may not be professional YouTubers, but watch us grow a business, right? Watch us grow a business. And, the other thing I'll say, kind of just to put it out there, tongue in cheek, like, maybe we may need to get in the business of buying other people's names and trademarking those too. So
let's work.
Yeah. So this we're just scratching the surface of where we going with this, right? And we only 50 in and 7 months on YouTube.
That's right.
Right. Yeah, Zane, you was gonna say something?
Yeah, I was also gonna say too, for the people that come on, don't be discouraged or afraid to drop a comment, or even like when you see this stuff on YouTube later, you can always give comments after you watch the show. You know what I'm saying? Show your love. You can like, comment, share any of the thoughts you have, and we just keep building from there.
OG Dad said, when the wide world of job interviews is going on. And OG Dad has been with us through it all too.
Yo, man, I love OG Dad, man. It's good. When I see his name pop up, I see, that's good. I like that.
OG Dad, you got to get with us behind the scenes so we can send you a T-shirt too, brother.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm familiar, bro, for real, man.
So for next week, we working with trying to line up a guest, but if we don't get the guest that we want, we're gonna have a best of show for y'all. So looking forward to it. Excited. Anything you want to say in closing, Rob?
Not really, man. 50 shows, man. That's great, man. I'm excited. I didn't even give that. I thought about the 48th show because it was my 40th birthday. I said, I'm gonna try that lined up. But 50 shows, man. Let's create good content. Let's have great talks like we just had tonight. Let's not be afraid to be pioneers and step out our comfort zone a little bit sometimes. I think that'll help us too. And let's keep building, man. We get ideas. If it's stick, it's stick. If it's not, move on. Don't need to stick. You know what I mean? Just keep moving, man. Keep moving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Zane.
I would say, thanks a lot to everybody that's been tuning in. A lot of people have been speaking to me, Shannon and Rob, about other subject matter. We'll be definitely addressing that stuff too. Shout out to everybody that's been supported.
Well.
Huh?
not only subjects, other ventures also.
Yeah, ventures too. Yep. So we just, you know, we building, we forming like Voltron, and we're gonna, you know, just keep adding on.
Right.
That's right. Appreciate it. Everybody have a good evening. Thank you for tuning in to No Ideas Original Podcast. Peace.
Bless you, man. Thank you.